On behalf of all Gundam fans out there, let me express my deepest dissatisfaction to Sunrise for this cliffhanger because, yes, we have another 2-week wait before we get another episode, and it sucks. This is the third 1-week delay we've had with this series, and it really does. It makes you wonder what's going on with Sunrise. Obviously, we have way too many shows, and there's a crap ton of shows coming next year, or at least next season, and obviously there's a shortage of animators. There's a lot of stuff being kind of outsourced. You've seen a little bit of rough shots of characters in this episode, but there was a lot of animation too, so it's kind of like that whole aspect of which one do you want? A lot of animation, but it looks kind of off, or not animation at all. But no, still a solid episode, a lot of stuff that's being built up, which again is the reason why this 2-week wait is going to really suck. I will say, I'm really hoping that this has kind of resolved the whole issues around Suletta. I was feeling a little bit fatigued with Suletta this episode. Like, I've been dealing with Suletta. Most people are kind of bugged by her being kind of whiny, or at least her timidness. I really thought it was cute. But I will say, an entire episode of her just kind of moping around was a little rough. Which makes sense what happened in the previous episode. Again, having a lot of things that she thought Miorine was trusting her with being pulled from her, and so she's feeling like she's not needed. And then having like all these situations where she runs into overhearing people and feeling like she's being kicked out. Whether it's Miorine talking to Nika about how she wants her to essentially replace Belle. Like, she doesn't want to keep relying on Belle. Though she's going to have Belle assist them, she wants Nika to take over that position. And then, yes, the food shortage. The stupid food shortage. And failing at transferring supplies, and them yelling out that completely useless. This app is completely useless. At some point, it got a little bit ridiculous. But it all kind of, again, led to a really cute scene with Miorine and Suletta. Finally, Miorine pretty much expressing what I guess I was kind of insinuating with the last episode, this idea that she's happy now. Miorine doesn't want to admit it, but she's happy now. She's running this business, she's got purpose, and yes, even though she says, now I have to bow before my father and listen to his criticisms, she wants that. Like, that she's finally being acknowledged by her father. She's almost being seen as an equal to him, and that's all she really wants. That's enough for her. And she kind of puts it into words when she confronts Suletta after letting go on the door and slamming up against the wall. Yelling at Suletta, this whole kind of exchange of Suletta wanting to leave, that she's not wanted, and Miorine pushing on her, but what about your whole statement? Forward, you gain 2. Well, I should have never came here. I only said that because I like to run away a lot, and it's the only thing that I can do that'll push me forward. But again, Miorine finally pressing on her at the reason why Miorine has gained this stuff, even though she says it in the most tsundere way possible about how she's bothered by everything. The reason that she's gained all this stuff was Suletta. Because of what Suletta said, because she has Suletta at her side, she was able to achieve all this stuff. And again, in tsundere nature, she has to punch Suletta to show that she's super happy, right? Like, she's like, don't you understand how happy I am? Oh, we're going back to the old school style of tsundere, the violent tsundere. Like, the I can't express myself so much that I have to punch this character to show how much I'm happy. But no, it was cute. And additionally, having Miorine essentially telling her that she's going to rely on her more and that she needs to speak to her more. The two of them suck at talking. Whether it's Miorine's tsundere nature not wanting to tell Suletta that she's happy and that she's likes her around, Suletta sucks at just telling her her insecurities and when she feels like she's not wanted. It is cute, though, again, technically putting it into words finally, is this idea that Miorine is telling Suletta that she runs too. The two of them feel like they always run, and this motto that Suletta got from her mother was the thing pushing them forward, and additionally each other. But Miorine, again, is expressing to Suletta, I'm just like you. I used to try to run away from my father all the time and escape to Earth. But no, the overall story, again, we're pretty much everybody arriving at Plant Quetta. This big exchange and the big mission that Shadiq is setting up and behind the backgrounds. And additionally, it seems like another party's coming. Like, it wasn't enough for every one that I listed last time, which was Delling, Prospera, Suletta, Miorine, they're the entire Gundam group. Yes, Guil is now Bob going in this transfer thing, and then you also have this group of assassins from Shadiq is jumped into that vehicle, and they're going towards that direction. You have Vim Jedturk is there to talk to Delling, and then additionally, on top of all that, Dominicus apparently is going to show up here soon because they got some sort of signal there. But no, on the side of the attack group, which is this Naji guy that's working for Shadiq, they're holding the whole place up, and it was interesting that Guil himself points out, wait, you have distillers. I think that's how you pronounce it, desultors, which are Jeturk mobile suits. They're old, but for you guys to have them, that's interesting. Like, Gyul's already putting things together. It's not normal that this attack group has these mobile suits, which I think is probably going to come into play later. Like, he's going to probably be some key feature to really kind of expose what they're doing here. And it's obvious that he would know that because, again, he's from the Jeturk family. So he's got to obviously know that possibly his father's involved. But yes, then Sophie gets all crazy and attacks Gyul. I'm really already curious how many people are going to be so super thirsty for Sophie. I just feel like Sophie is going to be this character that just completely takes over the internet this week. Everybody's going to go bonkers over Sophie, even though Sophie is just bonkers over Suletta. It was interesting, though, because Sophie is voiced by Nanashi, and then Noria, which is the other girl, she's actually Aoyuki, which I don't think I was listening for it, so I completely missed it, but super cool there. But yes, pretty much Noria is the calm-minded, follows orders, and Sophie is obviously the hot-headed, doesn't listen to orders. But no, I think the most interesting scene in this episode, obviously, was Prospera and Delling. Yes, we kind of seen them briefly meet each other in the last episode, but now we get an idea of what's going on. And this is opening up a massive can of worms here, which I'm really curious to see where this goes. Obviously, Delling being the big guy that put forth all the stuff that locked down the Gundam, the gun format, all that kind of stuff, seems like he's working with Prospera. Prospera is asking him how Quiet Zero is coming along. What is Quiet Zero? I'm thinking Quiet Zero has something to do with the gun format, obviously, because what happens in this conversation, at some point, she pulls out this thumb drive. This has data on Ariel. She talks about how this whole duel with Shadiq, Ariel reached permit score 6. And then she hands over the data for that to Delling. And she says this will help Quiet Zero reach its final stage, which is a shock in itself, but also Delling says specifically, it's still my project. Again, I don't know why, but Delling is technically working with Prospera, and it has something to do with the gun format. So what is Quiet Zero? Then something that's probably going to be reliant on the gun format. Something he's been trying to work on in the background that obviously would not look good if the public knew about. Here's where my theory is going to. I believe that Delling has been always working with Prospera. She even tells him to use her real name. I'm thinking that he did something, maybe reached out to her after this whole situation happened and used her in secrecy to keep the gun format going. Again, this goes back to what I said initially with this whole series. It's not about them not liking the gun format or not liking that it harms the pilot. They don't care about the well-being of the pilots. They just want the best, most powerful weapons, and they want the money. So it's obviously that Delling, if he's seen something about that would benefit another project that would then make power or money, I think he just wants power. Delling specifically, I think he wants power. Everybody else in the Burnett group wants money with that power. But Delling specifically, being an ex-military, he wants power. He wants to make sure that he has control over the most powerful thing. And so yes, he probably enacted that whole thing to shut down something he could control. But then he must have made some sort of agreement with Prospera in the background. So no doubt he would allow Miorine to do this because he has control over it. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. Super interesting though. I wasn't really expecting Delling and Prospera to be working behind the scenes. Now the question is why is Prospera working for Delling? Maybe the only thing I think of is that he was allowing her to continue to do what she was doing. I'm starting to get of the mind that I don't think it was Delling specifically that ordered that attack on the facility. That the death of everybody surrounding Prospera wasn't Delling. Like, he enacted the laws, but everybody else worked in the background to just force an attack out. Now, it was interesting to see that Vim Jeturk tried to make some sort of agreement with Delling before he goes to leave for Delling to be assassinated. He straight up calls him out, says, Sarius was pressing charges for the use of the gun format. Did you make a call? Did you tell them to drop the charges? And he's like, nope, that was Cathedral's decision. Which again, I think this goes back to the fact that Delling has always been working with Prospera, and Cathedra knew that. But then Vim starts throwing out some threats that Sarius won't give up and that he's going to come after his daughter's company. And he's like, what about Gyul? Why are you so worried about my daughter? Why isn't Gyul still missing? And this sets off Vim. Again, this is the mindset of a businessman that doesn't like this guy, ex-soldier, to be coming up here getting in his business. But the interesting thing that comes from this is that as Vim is being taken away, he obviously plants this marker so that they know where his guards are at, but he also says he didn't take the bait. All I can think of here is that despite the fact that Vim Jeturk wants to get rid of Delling, he either is more afraid of Sarius and wanted to see if Delling would go after Sarius, or he was hoping to get some sort of information out of Delling about Sarius before he gets rid of him. I'm very curious about what that bait was. Again, he was specifically saying over and over again, Sarius is coming after you. Sarius wants to get you. Sarius is going to get your daughter. Again, technically, Vim Jeturk does say specifically, Glassley should be sanctioned for causing unrest. He knows Shaddiq is causing issues. He knows what Shaddiq's after. He knows what Sarius is after. And again, it seems like he's giving one last chance to Delling to join him against Sarius, because I believe that he possibly fears Sarius more. Though you can also say that he could be possibly trying to get on his good side, that way he lifts sanctions on him himself. Again, he's saying one last time, I gave him one last chance. I gave him the bait and he didn't take it. But yes, that's when he contacts Shaddiq, and Shaddiq's like, all right, yeah, sure, 2 hours later. All right, gotcha. All right, bye. It's like, all right, send him out. I liked catching that. It's like this whole, all right, cool, just come by in about 2 hours. Yeah, sure, I'll be there in about 2 hours. All right, later. All right, send him out. Like he's obviously doesn't care for the life of Vim Jeturk. And why would he? This is some dude that could later on turn on Sarius and him to reveal that they work together. He's a future threat. But yeah, they send the Dawn of Fold. They go over there. They use this laser to cut like the entire Section C block off the thing, which I'm guessing is where Delling and I think as well Jeturk was still in there as well. And then Sophie finally sees through the glass, how convenient, sees Suletta standing there in a panic. I got a kick out of it, though. At some point, they showed Prospera, and she was telling everybody, no, don't evacuate. Get Ariel out of here. Like, get her ready, because she's not leaving her baby behind. She's like, I'm not going to leave you behind, baby. Yeah. Next episode's going to be pretty crazy. And again, I hate the fact that we have to wait 2 weeks for it. I think Yoel's going to get out. He's going to find a mobile suit to fight with. Again, holy crap. Like, there's so much stuff that's going to happen next week. It's not even funny. Because again, we still have technically this military group showing up. Or the I'm guessing the military group. Suetta's obviously going to get an aerial. Gwil, I think, is going to get into a mobile suit. I'm sure that Delling didn't come out there without a force himself. Otherwise, the dude is, I don't know how he would live this long. But overall, this is going to be, I can see why they have a 2 week wait. Because I think this next episode is going to be just nothing but explosions and fighting. Because again, there's way too many parties at this location. Which I think is a credit to them, that I think this is going to be a big season finale. Like, this is gonna shift everything, because there's a possibility. I mean, we've been flagging him for the last 3 episodes. Delling is probably gonna die. Vim Jeturk, possibly. I think Vim Jeturk's gonna get out somehow. He's gonna weasel somehow out of that situation. One of the main reasons why I think Vim Jeturk is gonna live is because there was too much emphasis in this episode that he is afraid of Sarius, and I think he's gonna go after Sarius after this, and that's gonna pin Shaddiq and Vim Jeturk at each other. And I wonder if Vim Jeturk knows that Shaddiq doesn't like his father. Again, he says basically that, go prove yourself to your father, make him like you. But yes, obviously Shaddiq doesn't like him. I will admit, and I don't think this is going to happen, this episode kind of flagged Miorine. And I really don't know if they would do that. It would be a really catastrophic shift for Suletta, but I don't think they would do it. I think there's too much riding on Miorine being present in the story going forward. She's basically created a spot where she can take over from her father, which if I think of anything, what's going to happen is, if Delling does die, I don't think Miorine is going to take over his position. That's impossible. That's not how that's going to work. But I do think that she's going to maybe possibly inherit a good portion of his shares, and that's going to put her in a more powerful position. Not the head, but a very powerful position. So I think Miorine has to stick around. But I will admit, it's way too much emphasis put on her in this episode that typically that you do with flagging a character. Always stay with me. Don't abandon me. Always rely on me. I'll rely on you. There was way too much heavy emphasis put on her and Suetta's relationship in this episode. But again, I think I'm more hoping that was just clarifying a lot of the discomfort between the two characters. So my predictions of the finale. Delling dies. No doubt. Vim Jeturk lives. The seeds are planted for Vim Jeturk and Sarius to be going against each other, because I think Vim Jeturk's going to use this whole situation with Shaddiq against him. Miorine lives. I think even Sophie and Noria will live. I think Naji will die, because he seems like too much of a big papa character. I think he's going to die. I think he's going to sacrifice him to save Sophie and Noria. Even possibly if Naji knows that Nika's there, he's going to do what he can to save her. Because again, this is her papa. This is the head of the orphanage. Now, my crazy thing I'm going to throw out here, super crazy, and I think this would be like the most insane season finale possible, or at least this core, because obviously we have another core that I believe is scheduled to April. Suetta dies. I think it would be crazy to have Suetta die. Because there's so much flagging happening between Miorine and Suetta, and I don't think Miorine's going anywhere, I wonder what would happen if Suetta died. And then Eleonora has to go out and make a new Suetta. Like, everybody thinks she's dead, and then she leaves for a little while. We have a little bit of a time skip to the next, the 13th episode, and then here comes in Suetta again, pops out of nowhere, but she's different. That would be crazy. That's my big crazy theory. But the big question is this the moment that we get Nika's death? Because I've said it from the very moment we met Nika. No, I think it was probably an episode into us knowing Nika. Nika is prime to be the martyr character. There's a good chance that none of these characters die. Maybe Delling dies, but then this is the moment that I've been predicting that Nika dies, because she's there as well. And everybody, a lot of the main parties at this location have some sort of vested interest in Nika. Shadiq seems to like Nika. Suetta and her group, Gundam, loves Nika. And this group that's attacking, Naji, likes Nika. She's basically his daughter. This could be the moment, and I don't want it to happen, but I've been purposely distancing myself from Nika because of this. But I think this could be the moment where I have all these parties that have this interest in something, and then Nika's in the middle of it and she dies, and it essentially causes a shock to everybody. Now, yes, not to Vim Jeturk, not to Sarius, but pretty much everybody else. But we'll see. Unfortunately, it's 2 weeks out. We'll see how things turn out with the finale. But I hope you guys enjoyed my video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you got my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super thanks button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does. Merry Christmas to all those who are celebrating, and y'all take care.